The station hung in space like a broken tooth. Its metal hull was dented, and sparks flew from places where repairs had been patched poorly. Inside, the station was noisy and crowded. Mercenaries shouted, brawled, and drank. Smoke drifted from kitchens that served food no one wanted. The smell of burnt metal and fuel mixed with cheap alcohol. Every corner of the station had someone selling weapons, information, or protection. It was a dangerous place, and danger was normal here. Through the main docking bay, 3 figures entered. They moved carefully, their eyes scanning the chaos around them. One of them was small and quick, with purple skin that shimmered in the dim lights. Another was taller, with bright green hair that seemed almost alive. The last one had pale blue skin and a nervous way of glancing over their shoulder every few seconds. The station guards noticed them immediately. Mercenaries rarely welcomed visitors, especially aliens who looked weak. One of the larger mercenaries stepped in front of the newcomers. "Where do you think you're going?" he growled. His armor was scratched, and his blaster hung from a shoulder strap. His voice was rough and loud. "We are looking for help," the green-haired alien said. His voice was trembling but polite. "We have nowhere else to turn. Please, someone will help us." The large mercenary laughed. His friends joined in. "Help?" one of them said. "In this station, help is for those who can pay or fight. You look like neither." The purple-skinned alien swallowed hard. "We have information. We can pay in a different way." The mercenary raised an eyebrow. "Information, huh? You'd better hope it's good." Before the aliens could say anything more, a human stepped from the shadows. He was tall, his hair dark, and his expression calm. His clothes were simple but functional, like someone who had worked hard his whole life. His presence did not scream danger, but the room felt it. The mercenaries stopped laughing. Even the largest man seemed unsure for the first time. "My name is Evan Cole," the human said quietly. He didn't raise his voice, but everyone could hear him. "Let them speak." The room went silent. One of the mercenaries muttered, "Evan? Earthborn?" The mention of the word changed everything. The laughter stopped completely. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Even the clatter of dishes seemed to quiet down. One by one, mercenaries stepped back, creating a wide circle around Evan and the aliens. "You don't have to be afraid," Evan said. His voice was still calm, but firm. "I'm here to listen, not to fight." The aliens looked at each other in confusion. "Earthborn?" Lyra whispered. "What does that mean?" "It means he is human," Sorrow said. "But not like other humans. Earthborn are different." Nalo, the young engineer, shook his head. "I don't understand. Aren't all humans the same?" "Not at all," Lyra said. "Humans from Earth learn to survive in the hardest conditions. They face death and danger every day. They do things no one else can. Even mercenaries fear them." The purple-skinned alien swallowed. "Then, we are safe?" Evan nodded slowly. "For now. Tell me what is happening. Start from the beginning." They led him to a quiet corner. It was a small room with only a few chairs, far from the main hall. Evan sat, and the aliens followed. "My homeworld is called Thalor," Lyra began. "Our planet is rich with minerals, but it is weak against outside attacks. A cartel came. They control everything now. The people who rule the cartel are cruel. They kill anyone who resists. They discovered information we have, and now they want to destroy us to keep it hidden." "Don't rest," Sorrow added. "We stole the data because it proves their crimes. We tried to send it to the council, but they are all under the cartel's influence. Now, we have nowhere to go. We were told if we reach a safe station, someone would help us. But most people ignore us. Or worse, They try to capture us themselves. Nalo's voice shook. We ran for days. Every time we stopped, they were close. We lost hope. Until we heard about Earthborn humans. Evan listened quietly. His eyes never left them. He nodded slowly. You did the right thing by coming here. But the danger is not over. Many will follow you. Mercenaries, raiders, anyone who wants that data. You need protection that can match them. Lyra swallowed hard. You will help us? Evan leaned back, studying them. I will hear your full story first. Then we will see what can be done. But be aware. Helping you will not be easy. And some people will not stop until you are dead. Saro nodded. We understand. We will do anything to survive. Evan looked around the room. The station was noisy outside. But in here, the world felt different. He was calm. But the others sensed the hidden power in him. It was not strength of muscle, but of experience, of life lived on the hardest worlds. Suddenly, a loud crash came from the main hall. The aliens froze. Blasters fired in short bursts. Mercenaries were shouting. The chaos from outside seemed closer, louder. Evan stood and walked toward the door. Stay here, he said. I will see what is happening. The aliens wanted to follow, but they could not. They watched him disappear into the hall. The moment Evan entered, the room of mercenaries fell silent again. The large man who had blocked their way growled, but even he did not move closer. Evan Cole, he said through clenched teeth, you should not be here. I am here, Evan said calmly, to protect them. Step aside, or you will regret it. The mercenary hesitated. Fear flickered in his eyes. He had heard stories. Earthborn soldiers did not bluff. They did not fail. And anyone who faced one alone rarely survived. After a tense moment, the mercenary stepped back. Others followed. Conversations started again, but in low whispers. People moved out of the way. The aliens stared, in disbelief. I don't understand, Nalo whispered. One word. Earthborn. And they obey? It is a name they respect, Saro said. Or fear. Sometimes it is both. Evan returned to the aliens. The station is secure for now, he said. But we must leave soon. The cartel will send people after you. They do not forget. And you are valuable to them. Lyra looked worried. How will we survive? You will survive, Evan said simply. Because I do not fail when lives are on the line. And neither does anyone else from Earth who has trained on the death worlds. You are in my hands for now. The aliens could not help but feel hope for the first time. They had faced fear and danger almost every day for weeks. But something about Evan, about this Earthborn human, gave them a strange calm. For the first time, they thought survival was possible. Evan sat back down with them. We need a plan, he said. You cannot go back to your world. Not yet. And hiding forever is not an option. You must be prepared to fight or run at any moment. I will help you, but you must listen. Your safety depends on it. Lyra nodded quickly. We will do anything. Please, just guide us. Evan smiled faintly. Good. Then we start immediately. First, we gather supplies. Second, we prepare your ship. Third, we leave the station quietly. No one can know you are here, except me and a few others who will help. Understand? Yes, the aliens said in unison. The station outside seemed louder now. But inside, in their corner, it was quiet again. They began making plans, following Evan's instructions carefully. He spoke in simple words, but every word carried authority. Every action he suggested seemed impossible to ignore. Hours passed. They packed supplies, checked the ship, and prepared for departure. The station remained dangerous, But Evan's presence made the aliens feel safe, and every now and then, someone would glance at him and whisper, "Earthborn." They did not fully understand why the name caused fear, but they understood its power. And they knew that as long as Evan Cole was with them, they had a chance to survive the dangers ahead. As the alien crew worked, Evan watched the crowd. He knew that leaving the station would not be simple. Mercenaries would notice. Raiders would follow. But he was ready. The Earthborn never left a fight they could win, and they never abandoned those who needed them. The first part of their journey had begun, and the aliens felt the weight of both hope and fear. But one thing was certain. Mentioning the word Earthborn had changed everything. And now, nothing in the galaxy would stop them from moving forward. The aliens followed Evan Cole through the station corridors. Every step was careful. Even though mercenaries had stepped back, the hallway was still dangerous. Shadows moved, and eyes watched them from corners. Some people whispered the word Earthborn, and the aliens felt both surprised and reassured. Lyra, the purple-skinned navigator, looked around nervously. "I never imagined a human could have that kind of presence," she said quietly. "Everywhere we go, people move out of your way." Evan smiled faintly. "It is not about showing power," he said. "It is about making people know you are ready for what comes next. Earthborn, learn to survive in the worst conditions. Most mercenaries know that. They also know we never bluff." Sorrow, the medic, nodded. "I think I understand. It is why we feel safe with you, even here in the station. We trust you." Evan nodded. "Good. Trust is important. But it is not enough. You must also be ready to act." The aliens followed him to a quiet docking bay. A small transport ship waited, its metal hull scratched and dented, but reinforced. It was not fast like a fighter, but it was strong and could survive attacks other ships could not. "This is your ship?" Lyra asked, looking at it skeptically. Evan nodded. "It will keep you alive, long enough to escape the cartel. It is not fancy, but it is reliable. That is what matters in a chase." Grace Miller, a human pilot, was already inside. She had joined Evan after hearing the situation. Grace was calm and confident. She moved efficiently, checking systems and making quick adjustments. Her presence was quiet but powerful, like Evan's. "Ready for launch?" she asked. Her voice was calm, almost casual, but full of authority. "Yes," Evan said. "Prepare to leave quietly. We do not want anyone following immediately." The aliens hurried aboard, stowing supplies and securing themselves. Nalo, the young engineer, looked worried. "How will we escape?" "They are many, and we are few. You focus on staying alive," Evan said. "I will take care of the rest." The ship lifted from the docking bay without attracting attention. Evan guided it through the station's hidden corridors and maintenance shafts. By the time they reached open space, the ship was clear of prying eyes. But danger was not far behind. A small squad of mercenary ships had noticed the departure and began pursuit. They were faster and armed with weapons designed to disable ships quickly. "Enemies approaching," Grace said calmly. Her hands moved over the controls, adjusting shields and engines. "We will need to maneuver carefully." Evan studied the holographic display. "They expect a straight path. We will give them something else. Prepare for evasive maneuvers through the asteroid field ahead." The aliens watched in amazement as Evan and Grace worked together. The ship weaved between massive rocks, dodging debris and gunfire. Lasers hit the hull, but bounced harmlessly off reinforced plating. "How do you do that?" Lyra asked, her voice full of awe. "No one could fly like this." "It comes from practice," Evan said. "Earthborn learned to survive impossible conditions. Flying through chaos is not new to us." The aliens began to feel hope. For the first time since leaving their world, they believed survival might be possible. The mercenary ships pursued them relentlessly. One struck the side of the transport ship, sending a shockwave through the cabin. Nalo grabbed a support bar to steady himself. "Stay calm," Evan said, his voice even. "Shields are holding. Brace for impact." Grace adjusted their trajectory, dodging another volley of fire. Sparks flew across the control panel, but she stayed focused. "Almost clear," she said. "We can lose them in the nebula ahead." A nebula stretched before them, a cloud of charged particles and magnetic storms. Sensors barely worked in the swirling gas. Most pilots would avoid it. But Evan smiled. "Perfect," he said. "They will not expect us to go through. The storm will mask our escape." The aliens held their breath as the ship entered the nebula. Lightning-like currents of energy crackled around them. Instruments flickered and beeped in warning. But Evan's calm presence steadied everyone. "Follow my lead," he said. "Do exactly as I say, and we will survive this." The transport ship twisted and turned through the storm. Lasers from the pursuers struck the energy clouds, scattering in strange patterns. The mercenary ships struggled to maintain formation, their sensors failing. "Now," Evan said. Grace pulled a lever, releasing a series of magnetic pulses from the ship. The pulses disrupted the enemy's navigation systems. One by one, the mercenary ships collided with asteroids or each other. Explosions lit the nebula, but the transport ship remained safe. The aliens cheered quietly, relief washing over them. "We did it," Saro said. "We are alive." "You survived because I am Earthborn," Evan said simply. "But also because you followed instructions. Never forget that. Survival depends on teamwork as much as skill." Lyra looked at him. "Earthborn. Your kind. You are trained for this?" "Yes," Evan said. "On Earth, humans face dangerous worlds. We learn to act when others cannot. Fear does not control us. We adapt. We survive. That is why mercenaries respect the word Earthborn. They know what it represents." Nalo shook his head in disbelief. "We have never seen anything like this. The stories we heard, I thought they were exaggerations. But it is real." Evan glanced at the stars through the ship's viewport. "Stories never tell the whole truth. You will learn that humans from Earth are stubborn, dangerous, and persistent. That is why you should never underestimate anyone with that name." The aliens felt a new sense of courage. They were still hunted, still in danger, but now they had a chance. They could escape. They could survive. And they could fight, if necessary. Hours passed as they navigated the nebula. Evan and Grace worked together seamlessly, making adjustments and keeping the ship stable. The aliens learned to trust them more with every passing moment. Eventually, the nebula ended, and clear space appeared before them. The stars shone bright, and silence returned to the cabin. "We are not safe yet," Evan said. "The cartel will not stop. They will send stronger forces next. But we have survived the first wave. That is important." Lyra nodded. "Thank you, Evan. Thank you, Grace. We would have died without you." "You did your part," Evan said. "You survived. That is the first step. Now we must plan for the next." Saro looked worried. "What is next? How do we fight them? Or do we run?" "You run when running is smart," Evan said. "You fight when it is necessary. And sometimes, you do both at the same time. The key is to stay alive long enough to make the next choice." Nalo looked out at the stars. "I never imagined life could be like this. Constant danger, constant fear. But somehow, I feel stronger with you here." "That is the way it should be," Evan said. "Fear is natural, but it should not control your decisions. Earthborn learned to control fear, to use it. That is why you will survive this, too, if you follow instructions. The aliens nodded, feeling hope for the first time in weeks. For the first time, they believed they could escape the cartel's reach. Grace checked the ship's engines. "We need to reach a safer system," she said. "One where the cartel has less influence. We can hide for a while, repair the ship, and plan the next step." Evan agreed. "We will head to the Carroll system. It is remote, but it has resources we need. Mercenaries are less likely to follow us there immediately, and the nebula has slowed anyone chasing us." Lyra looked at him in amazement. "You think of everything. Nothing is left to chance." Evan shrugged. "Experience. Earthborn learn to expect the unexpected. That is the advantage. You survive longer when you are ready for anything." The ship moved toward the Carroll system, stars streaking past in streaks of light. The aliens felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. They were hunted, yes, but now they had a protector, someone who could survive the impossible. "Earthborn," Lyra whispered again. "It is more than a name. It is a promise." "Yes," Evan said. "A promise to survive, a promise to protect, and sometimes, a promise to make the impossible possible." The ship traveled in silence for a while, each alien lost in thought. They had survived the first danger, but they knew more challenges awaited them. And yet, with Evan and Grace, hope burned brighter than fear. As they approached the outer edge of the system, Evan stood and looked at them. "Rest for now. We will need energy, focus, and courage for what comes next. The cartel will not give up easily, but neither will we. You are alive because you trusted me. That is the first rule of survival. Remember it." The aliens nodded. For the first time, they believed that maybe, just maybe, they could escape their fate. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and inside the small transport ship, a human named Evan Cole reminded them all why the word Earthborn was feared and respected across the galaxy. The small transport ship moved steadily through space, leaving the nebula behind. Outside, stars glittered, cold and bright, stretching endlessly in all directions. The alien crew watched silently, still recovering from the chase that had nearly ended their lives. "Do you think they will follow us?" Lyra asked, her voice quiet. She adjusted her seat harness nervously. "They will," Evan said simply. His dark eyes stared ahead at the stars. "The cartel does not forgive. They do not forget. They want their stolen data, and they will come for it. You need to be ready." Sorrow, the medic, swallowed hard. "We barely survived the first attack. How can we survive again?" Evan smiled faintly. "Because you are with Earthborn humans. We learned to survive the impossible. You will see." Nalo, the young engineer, looked out the viewport. "I am amazed by how calm you are. Every other human I have seen is nervous when in danger. But you seem like you are expecting it." Evan nodded. "That is because I am. Danger is normal. Chaos is normal. On the death worlds, humans learn early that fear will not protect you. Only action does. You have to act." Grace Miller, the pilot, adjusted the engines. Her hands moved quickly, efficiently. She did not speak much, but the aliens could feel her focus. Even the slightest mistake could mean death. But she moved, as if everything was simple. "I have detected a patrol ahead," Grace said finally. 3 ships, medium class. They are searching for us. They will notice if we continue in a straight line." Evan studied the display. "They expect us to flee in a straight path. We will not give them that. We will lead them somewhere they cannot see." "How?" Lyra asked, curiosity mixed with fear. "We use the asteroid belt ahead," Evan said. "It is dense, dangerous. Most pilots will avoid it, but inside, I can navigate it better than anyone chasing us. They will lose formation, and then we strike. Sorrow's eyes widened. You want to lead them into the belt? That is suicide for most. That is why I am Earthborn, Evan said quietly. I know it is not suicide. I know we can survive. You need to trust me. The aliens nodded. Trust was all they had now. They had no other allies. They were alone, in a galaxy full of hunters and killers. The transport ship approached the asteroid belt. Massive rocks floated silently in space, some larger than buildings. Their shadows stretched across the stars, and the hum of the engines sounded louder than usual. Evan and Grace guided the ship carefully, weaving through gaps smaller than the ship itself. Behind them, the patrol ships followed, faster and heavier. The first one fired a pulse weapon, striking the asteroid nearby. The explosion sent rocks scattering, some moving dangerously close to the transport ship. Brace for impact, Evan said calmly. His hands moved with precise motions, guiding the ship through impossible angles. The aliens held tight, hearts pounding. Nalo gripped the edge of his seat, white-knuckled. Sorrow's breathing was fast. Lyra's eyes were wide, but she did not panic. She watched, learning. The patrol ships tried to follow, but they were not as skilled. One struck a rock and tumbled into a spinning dance, its weapons misfiring. Another tried to go around a large boulder and collided with a smaller asteroid. Sparks and metal debris floated in the void. Evan smiled faintly. Now, he said. Grace pulled a lever, releasing a magnetic pulse from the ship. The pulse disrupted the sensors of the remaining patrol ship. It could not track them properly. The ship fired blindly, and the shots missed entirely. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. How can you do this? Lyra whispered. Evan shrugged. Practice, instinct, and focus. That is what being Earthborn teaches you. You survive in impossible situations because you expect them, and act without hesitation. The patrol ship finally gave up the chase, unable to maintain formation. It retreated, spinning, and damaged. The transport ship emerged from the asteroid belt safely. The aliens exhaled, relief washing over them. You are amazing, Sorrow said. I have never seen anyone move like that. You are like a force of nature. Evan shook his head. I am just human. But humans from Earth grow up facing worlds that would kill anyone else. That is what makes the difference. We do not give up. Lyra nodded slowly. I understand now why mercenaries fear the word Earthborn. It is not just a name. It is proof of what you are capable of. Evan smiled faintly. Yes. And you will remember that. It will save your lives. For a while, the ship traveled quietly. The aliens tended to minor injuries, repaired small damages, and tried to rest. But the sense of danger never left them. They knew the cartel would not stop. They had only survived the first pursuit. Stronger enemies were still coming. After several hours, Grace detected movement in a nearby system. Something is out there, she said. A large strike team. They are elite. The cartel sent their best. The aliens froze. Elite? How bad is that? Nalo asked nervously. Bad, Evan said simply. They have a reputation for never failing. Most who meet them do not survive. That is why we need a plan. You must trust me completely. Number. Lyra looked at him. We do. We have no other choice. Evan nodded. Good. First, we prepare defenses. Second, we find a hiding point in this system. Third, we wait and observe. If they attack, we will not run blindly. We will choose how and where to fight. Sarah's hands shook slightly. Do you think we can win? Evan looked at him calmly. Winning is not the first goal. Survival is. Then we strike when we have the advantage. That is how Earthborn humans operate. We do not fight blindly. We fight smart. Hours passed as they approached the system. Evan and Grace worked quietly, checking every system, running simulations, and preparing for any possible attack. The aliens watched, learning, and following instructions carefully. Finally, they reached a cluster of small moons. The area was dark, with few stars visible through the debris and rings. It was a perfect hiding place. "We will stay here for a while," Evan said. "They will search, but they will not expect us in this location. It gives us time to repair and prepare. But remain alert. We are not safe yet." Lyra looked at him. "You are calm. Even though we are in danger. How can you stay like this?" "Experience," Evan said. "Humans from Earth learn to face danger every day. Fear is natural, but it must not control you. You act despite fear. That is what keeps you alive." Grace added, "And planning. Knowing what could happen and being ready. That is just as important as skill." The aliens nodded. They realized they had much to learn, not only about surviving the cartel, but about humans and what it meant to be Earthborn. As night fell over the moons, the ship rested in orbit. Outside, stars twinkled, cold and distant. Inside, the aliens gathered, still tense, but slowly feeling safer. "You have saved us," Lyra said softly. "We would have died without you." "You did your part too," Evan said. "You survived. That is the first rule. The second is to follow instructions and stay together. The third is to never give up." Saro looked at him. "I hope we can survive the next attack. The elite team? I do not know if we can face them." "You can," Evan said, "because you are with Earthborn humans, and because you have learned to trust us. That makes all the difference." For a while, they remained in quiet. Repairs were done, minor damages fixed, and food distributed. The aliens still worried about the cartel, but hope had returned. They had survived impossible odds already. And with Evan and Grace, they believed they could survive what came next. At one point, Lyra whispered, "I think I understand now. Earthborn are not just humans. They are legends for a reason. Their name alone changes everything." Evan looked at her quietly. "Yes, but it is not magic. It is experience, training, and courage. And sometimes, the willingness to face the impossible and keep moving forward." Nalo nodded slowly. "I think I am beginning to understand. Maybe." Evan smiled faintly. "That is the first step. Survival begins with learning, observing, and acting. You are on that path now. Never forget it." The ship drifted silently in the dark space near the moons. Outside, danger waited. The elite strike team of the cartel was coming. But inside, the aliens felt something they had never felt before. They felt hope, and more than hope, they felt a chance to survive. The next attack would be dangerous. They knew that. But with Earthborn humans at their side, they believed that even the impossible could be beaten. Evan and Grace prepared the ship quietly, ready for the coming battle. The aliens watched and learned. They knew the fight ahead would test them, but for the first time, they did not feel hopeless. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. Inside, the small transport ship held 4 aliens and 2 humans, all preparing to face what the galaxy would throw at them next. And with the name Earthborn on their side, they knew that fear would not rule them.